Hello everyone, it's Bella. It's Wednesday and it's time for that video where we talk about living healthy, finding purpose, and integrating those through pleasurable wellness with sensefulness. One of the things that I really wanted to dwell on in today's video is how to navigate through life that's very uncertain, very confusing, where things are not the way they used to be, and when we can't really find those anchors, right? Like the relationship anchor that we had might be, going through some turmoil, or social relationships are weakened by the fact that we are, obviously dealing with social distancing. Our mental health might not be the same as before. We're dealing with anxiety, stress. Our physical health might be suffering as a result of it. And altogether, it just seems like there are a lot of adversities, and we have to navigate through them. And how do you deal with all of that at the same time? So there are three things that I wanted to share with you, right? One is a perspective shift that we really need to have during these times to help us navigate through the difficult times, which is the following, right? If you think about it, when things start shifting, changing, when things are not the way that we're used to them as being, right? When things are in turmoil, it is difficult, it is stressful, it is transformative, but you can see it as an opportunity to look at what those changes are really telling us about the way that our society maybe wasn't working, the way that we might be having some realizations about what hasn't worked for us in our relationships, or in the way that we're taking care of our kids or taking care of ourselves. So really shifting that perspective to see, hold on a second, like I am going through all these issues, our society is going through all these transformations. How can I bring something forth to really contribute to a new way of being that's more congruent to who I am and to what I want to see in the world and in my world, right? In my personal world and my external world, external reality. So that's the first step, is really shifting that perspective. Because when we put ourselves in a position of being a victim of everything that's happening, right? The pandemic is happening, the social unrest is happening, my relationship is going, into different directions, and my health is really suffering. You start feeling like you have no control, and that's the worst way to possibly create any positive transformations. You really have to see yourself as the protagonist, right? Say, I am in charge. Whatever, even if it's like a small extent of what you can be in charge of, having that wield of, I can change things within that small circle where I am the protagonist is important. The second thing is I wanted to bring in this video is the idea that we can always rely on an anchor that's always there with us, and always sort of never goes away, which is our self, right? Our body, our ability to connect to that inner self, the powerful inner self that's always waiting for you to sort of reconnect with it. You can imagine it as the little you, maybe the inner child. You can imagine it as a version of you that you really, kind of respect, and maybe you're, you as the superwoman. And by creating that contact often and sort of speaking to yourself, you will be able to come up with answers that you might not rationally come up with. So it's really important to, when things seem very confusing rationally, to sometimes just turn off that rational brain and the mind, and stop that chatter, take deep breaths, and really have a conversation with your inner self. You can do that through meditation. You can do it through simply journaling, doing something creative like painting, or Dancing also works, right? So those things really get you back into your more primitive part of yourself. That's really where that inner voice is hiding. And the more practical aspects of it are related to self-care. So in my case, for example, I have been going through a transformation in where I'm going to live, right, in terms of residence, and I've been in short-term locations for the last year, and that has been obviously really stressful. But at the same time, I always maintained a certain routine around my self-care. And that really gives you that strong anchor of no matter what happens, I can go back to that routine, which makes me feel good and which makes me feel reassured. So it might be creating a morning ritual where no matter where you are, you wake up and you do a certain, breathing dynamic, or just keep your eyes closed for a couple of seconds and really, have some positive affirmations about how you're going to envision your day, where you give yourself a self-massage and check in with your body to see how you're feeling. It implies having a glass of water right next to your bed, so as soon as you wake up, you really replenish your, water supply. And it's a small act, but when you do that, it really brings you back into a space of I'm safe and I'm well taken care of. And you don't need anyone to do that. You are going to do it for yourself. Another thing you can do is to really, no matter where you are, think about your nutritional choices, food choices, because when you nourish yourself correctly, you are full of that positive energy, right? You are what you eat is a phrase that you need to remember in these times, because it's not only about your weight, but it's really, really, and it's also not just about your health, but the types of food that you choose to put into your body actually make up the mood that you have, right? So if you're eating a lot of junk food and alcohol, caffeine, like those substances, they really affect the way that you feel. And sometimes you want to feel that way, but having that control of what you consume can make a really important, can make a difference between being completely lost and confused to being in control and having that anchor. As small as it is, eventually you will see that no matter where you are, no matter what's happening around you, the world might be falling apart, you have yourself and you have that ability to take care of yourself and bring well-being no matter what's happening. If you need help putting those things together, putting together a well-being routine, I have created a daily framework that I really enjoy helping people put together, where we think about how you wake up, what you eat. We look at your different aspects of your well-being, such as sexuality, movement, your fitness routine, your sleeping habits, and all of those things really make up how you feel in the day and how you sort of approach your life. And believe me, when you have those small acts of self-care, they add up and they really make a difference on how you live your life, because it's not just some kind of goal or some kind of a normalcy that we need to get ourselves back to. It's creating a different you that's anchored in those sometimes intangible things, right? Like self-care and how you feel, and then projecting that into the outside world that's going to help us create that strength again, that power, that inspiration, and first rebuild our own lives and then help rebuild the societies that are, that need a lot of transformations in these times. So I really look forward to helping you create your daily framework, talk to you about how you can really anchor yourself in the body and navigating through life with pleasure, through the sensefulness method, and really rediscovering yourself. Thanks for watching, and see you next Wednesday.